Today, Howard Bell Productions presents Trey and Logan's Human Sexuality Project. Meet Richard. He's an average male college student. He enjoys riding bikes. He enjoys watching football. And he enjoys occasional alcohol abuse. Now that we've gotten to know Richard a little bit better, let's take a closer, more intimate look at his exterior genitalia. We begin with the shaft of the penis, continuing down to the glands. Notice he does not have a foreskin. This is the way God intended it. Next we come to the testes, contained within the scrotum. The corona is the area around the penis, otherwise known as the crown. Ever seen a German army helmet? Yeah, like that. Think that. Then we have the urethral orifice at the tip of the penis, which is where semen and urine are both expelled from. Now we have a cutaway interior view of his genitalia. We begin at the scrotum. Then we have the testes within the scrotum, the epididymis, the spermatic cord continuing up to the vas deferens, the pubic bone's right in here. We have the bladder, the prostate, the ejaculatory duct, the seminal vesicle, the rectum, the ampulla, the Cowper's gland, otherwise known as the bulbourethral gland, and the anus. Then over here we have the corpus spongiosum, corpus cavernosum, the penis, the glans penis, the urethra, and the aforementioned urethral orifice. Now let's meet Richard's friend, Anigov. Anigov is an exchange student from Belarus. She's majoring in tractor. Her English is not so good, and her food is terrifying and cabbage-based. Oh my. And here we have a closer, once again, more intimate view of her external genitalia. We have the mons pubis, this mound here, the prepuce of the clitoris, otherwise known as the clitoral hood, the clitoris itself, the urethral opening, the vaginal opening, the perineum, and the anus. Then over here we have the crura, the labia majora, labia minora, and that's it. Now, let's take another, more deeper look. This is like Inception, we have multiple levels. This is a cutaway side view of Anigov's internal genitalia. We start off with the uterus, the bladder, the pubic bone, the urethra, the crura, the clitoris, the urinary opening, the labia majora, labia minora, vaginal opening, the hymen, the anus, the G-spot within the vagina, the rectum behind the vagina, and the cervix. Then up here we have the ovary, the fimbriae, and the fallopian tube. If we go down, we have a front view of her uterus in particular. The ovaries and fimbriae, the fallopian tube, the uterus, the endometrium, or lining of the uterus, the cervix, which separates the uterus from the vagina, and this says O's. I don't know what that means. Let's leave Richard and Anigov alone together. Clearly, they're both quite happy. Let's meet a friend of ours, a friend of Richard's, a friend of yours, a friend of mine, a friend we may not even know that we really have. Meet Frodo Sackins. Frodo Sackins is a young sperm, born in left testy under bush. One day, he will go on a great adventure and save the world as we know it. He begins in the testes. He continues forth through the epididymis, up the vas deferens, through the prostate gland where they fight a bullrug, and then out between the hard, rigid corpus spongiosum, finally exiting out of the urethra and urethral opening in quite an explosive moment. And now we have some of his friends. Several halfling sperms, one dwarf sperm, looks like an elf sperm, and what is only can be surely Gandalf the White and Sticky. This is ejaculation. It begins, once again, in the testes, which can increase in size during ejaculation, finally decreasing, continuing up along the same path, a contraction in the seminal vesicles and the rectal sphincter, which I will do this hand gesture so you'll never forget it. Ever. And finally, expelled forth through the urethral opening with quite great rhythmic power. And now, we give you to a good friend of mine, Logan Bell.
Take it. Alright. Coming to a uterus near you every 28 days roughly, and around the ages of 12 to 50, the phantom menses. Here, we have the 4 stages of the menstrual cycle. We have the menstrual phase, follicular phase, ovulatory phase, and the luteal phase. We're going to start with the menstrual phase. The menstrual phase is when the uterine lining disintegrates and then goes through the vagina and falls out in like blood and mucus and all that other nasty stuff. So here we have our ovary, we have our fimbriae, our fallopian tubes. Here is the uterus, the cervix, which separates the uterus from the vagina, and the vagina. In the follicular phase, we have the uterine lining is just now starting to form, so it's going to be a lot thinner, and we have our immature oocytes within the ovary. We then go down to the ovulatory phase, where the oocyte is actually released and the uterine lining continues to increase and gets thicker along the inner uterine wall. In the luteal phase, the oocyte actually travels down through the fallopian tubes, and at this point the lining of the uterus is really thick so as to give nutrients to the actual oocyte, and the lining continues to thicken. These are the 4 phases of the menstrual cycle. Fin.
This is an artist's rendition of ejaculation.